Today is June 1st. It's a Monday, although it's very late in the afternoon. It's been a crazy day, and so I probably won't get this posted till tomorrow. So if you're seeing this Tuesday and you're going, what? That's why. So let's see. Let's start with the information stuff. I am predominantly a full coverage stitcher. I stitch 2/1 full cross on typically Aida, usually 16 or 18 to 20 count. I'll sometimes stitch on 16. And let's see, most of my fabrics are by Zweigart, unless I tell you otherwise when showing you the piece. So I have a small finish, 2 new starts, which are not full coverage, and then I have my full coverage. Since I saw you last, on my full coverage, I completed 9,802 stitches. I don't count my stitches on non-full coverage or something that's not in Pattern Keeper. So with that, shall we get into what I have? So my first one is my finish. This is a Quiet Place. This is from the Just Cross Stitch 2025. Yeah, 2025 edition of the Christmas edition. So I made a few changes to this, but this is my finish. So first of all, the fabric is an 18 count by Picture This Plus. It's called Herald. I changed the color of the roof line. I changed the color of the roof line to this. When I picked it back up, I forgot I changed the color and I went with the real color. And it wasn't until it was all done and I looked back and looked at it and went, yep, we're not changing it. I eliminated the snow on it, and there was a bow made out of fabric. So just like you would just put a bow on and stitch it in place out of thread. And then there was a star below here, and there was a charm. I think the charm hung up here, and I didn't really want those. So I eliminated all that. And then the chest of the birds, oh wow, you can barely see it on the, okay, I can see it in real life, was supposed to be this color here, and I wanted a color that would be different. So I picked a blue. Can you even, yeah, okay, you can maybe see it. I picked a blue that showed up on the fabric, at least in real life. And so that's what I did, just to make something different. So I know there's a line in the roof, and yeah, this is gonna be an ornament on my tree, so I'm just gonna let it go, because I really don't want to rip all that out. So that's my first finish. My second would be a start, and this is by Aliton Embroidery on Etsy. I'm stitching this on 18 count shadow by Picture This Plus, and it's called Death. And there he is. So that you can see, this is Ghostface from Scream. This is a collection of, okay, I think I have 12, but I think she's eliminated 2 of them from her shop. So I think there's 10 left on there. 3 of them are from Stranger Things, and then the rest are just various horror movie characters. So that is my Scream. This was supposed to be stitched, I believe it was 453, and I changed it to be 5200 because when I saw these, I saw them as being in white. So that's my start. Again, I don't count stitches, so I can't tell you how far I am on this. Yeah, this one does not work in Pattern Keeper. Okay, then I have one other new start, and that is Dreamweaver Witch. This is from the 2025 Halloween edition of Just Cross Stitch magazine. And I was cleaning and going through things, and I came across this and thought, you know, I have a little envelope where I keep patterns that I've taken out of magazines and stuff. And I thought, either stitch her or just throw her out. You don't need to keep her forever. I love her. I love the Dreamcatcher. I love everything about it. I thought she would be perfect with this, but they're 2 different sizes. So this was from the, let me put this down. This is from the 2017 or 2018 Halloween edition. This is probably my favorite piece of all time. And the fabric, I found the fabric on Etsy, and if you recognize this, this is the iron from Monopoly. And I had bought this fabric because I stitched the big Monopoly game board that you can still find it sometimes on secondhand markets, but it's no longer being published. And I stitched that for my son and turned it into a quilt. And then I bought a little box to put all the pieces in, bought all the pieces so that he and his family could play this because that's one of his favorite games. Anyway, if you are stitching the Monopoly game, you might still be able to find that. But this is the one that had me thinking I really wanted to stitch that. But they're going to be two different sizes, so I decided to make them look completely different. As you saw, this was done on a, what is it done on? It's called Coffee Joblin. So it's a coffee color, and I didn't want the coffee color this time. If these were going to be two different sizes, then I wanted them to look completely different. So what I did, now this is 2 full pages in the magazine, plus the very top row is split, you can see, is split into 2 sections on 1 page. Now, I like to digitize my patterns and then work on them in one of my apps. I use it, if it doesn't work in Pattern Keeper, I use XJuDo, XODO, which is a free charting software that you can use, not charting, a free software you can use to mark up your patterns, and it works on all devices. So I decided to stitch this on a remnant of a piece of xJuDesign fabric, and I decided to change it, and instead of stitching it in black, I'm stitching it with 169. So I'm just working on the top row right now, and you can see this is so, you can see how tight it is. I literally counted each thread to see if this would fit, and it just fits. So that is where I'm at, and I think she's going to look kind of cool in that gray color as opposed to black. I'm still toying around with the idea of changing the dream catcher or the feathers off the dream catcher, or I'm still playing around with that, but I think you can see that fabric. I think this is going to look really cool. So again, this is from the 2025 Halloween edition of Just Cross Stitch. Okay, so now we get into my full coverage pieces that I worked on. First up is Children of the Forest. I added 1,584 stitches, taking this from 6.97 to 7.81%, and I'm doing this on 18 count Aida that I dyed myself. So let's see. So it's later in the day. So what I did is I started up here picking colors that I didn't have finished, and you can see these branches have really kind of, let me move this over. Okay. So you can see these branches have really taken shape down in through here, and then I just carried those colors down. So I might have done these stitches, I'm not sure, but yeah, this whole section is where I worked. So here's where it was before. I'm trying to get the right lighting. This is so hard. So yeah, you can see, I think, a bit of a difference. And so that's Children of the Forest. The artwork on this is by Emily Fiengenschuh and is charted by UnconventionalXStitch. So she'll get one more weekend, and then she'll go away and I'll bring out a different whip. So the next one is Broken Wings. This artwork is by Ines Guerrero. It was charted by Thread Geeks. I don't know anyone who's charting Ines's work right now. I added 657 stitches. This is a 20 count Aida that I dyed myself, and I tried to finish these last, you can see up here, these right up here, these last couple stitches, and I ran out of a color, so they're not done, but I did bring down, and you can see this is really filled in right here. I don't think, I did a couple stitches, I think there's a couple in through here that I did, but I really filled in this section. So here's where she was before. And this is her first weekend out, so she'll be out for a little while yet, and I'll get more done. And so for this one, if you're new here, I'm just going to work this down to the bottom in pages. in rows. I will find the right word eventually. So I'm going to do these by pages and finish columns. And so this is the upper left hand, no, upper right hand corner, because I really like starting that way and working back. So yeah, that's Broken Wings. And then I as you probably noticed, I ironed, or you may not have noticed, but I ironed the new starts and the finish because I wanted to iron this piece. And because when I took her off the hoop and I thought, she's looking so good, I can't wait till I see her ironed. And I thought, you know, I charted her with the heat, I charted her with friction pens, and they come off with heat. And so I thought, I could remove that by ironing her. Now, I found that those pens sometimes come back. I had one that it came back on. And I use a hot iron, and so I was really disappointed when that one, I could see the gritting again, and I had to apply heat to it again. So I switched to a water-soluble pen, but this one still has the heat pens. So I'm going to cover my face up to show you. If I didn't say this is, let me say this is Strength. The artwork is by Nicole Payne, charted by UnconventionalXStitch. She's on 18 count very light pewter by Zweigart. And here she is. Isn't she gorgeous? So I have now hit 3 milestones on her. I have now completed the top 4 rows of pages all the way across, and this time I meant rows. And you can see I've carried it down some, but this is actually the end of the 4th row. I then came over here and filled in the stitches around her nose and her mouth that were missing. Then I did her jawline. And then I came over here and started filling in all of this. And yeah, so I'll pull that up and show you that side in a minute. But let's see if I can, so you can see her braid or cornrow or whatever that is she has. And yeah, so my milestones, those 2 rows are done. I also took her from 67.51% to 71.34%. So I've now hit 70% on her, and I just love her. This, if you're new, this piece I am working on every week until I have her finished, and my plan is to have her finished based on the amount of stitching I'm getting in right now. She should be finished sometime in September. So my plan now, let me just move this up a little bit. My plan now is to come over here and finish 2 rows at a time. So let's see, that would be from here, that would be from here over, and just work her down. So there's only 2 full pages, and then there's a page that is about 30 stitches high here. So that's going to be my goal, is to work those 2 down and get those done. And then once those rows are done, those columns are done, oh my goodness, then I can come back up, and I think I'll work this next column. That way I save her hand with the bracelets and the other rings and stuff for a little while yet. I just don't want to be done with all the fun stuff. But yeah, she's just, I can't get over how pretty she's turning out. So that was that. Okay, now I have a couple more things to show you. First up, I don't have any furniture. I don't do furniture every week. So you probably won't see, I have a piece of furniture I'm working on, but I've hired an artist to help me with it, and I'll tell you more about that. And so that won't be done until probably July sometime. And but I did finish that lampshade. So I showed you, I had picked up a $5 lamp. It was secondhand, and I didn't like the lampshade. I'm still not thrilled with the lampshade because of its size. If a lampshade pops up one day that is the right size, I'll replace it. But it had a, what was it, a cheetah? I threw out the fabric. but I removed the fabric, and this is what that lamp now looks like. And as you can see, the lampshade really is too small for the lamp. So that'll stay there until a lampshade pops up. I'll probably head out to a thrift store one day and just see what I can find. Okay, so then let me do a floss tube shout out. So the floss tuber is Entree Spoilers. Now this is very different. She is a foreign stitcher, and so her videos are dubbed. They're very well done. I mean, there are some that are like, ooh, the dubbing's really bad, but this one's well done. She does mostly full coverage, but her stuff is just beautiful. So check out Entree Spoilers. I'll put her down below. And last, I have purchases. So I had a discount that I needed to, if I was going to use it, there was a time limit on it, and I decided to use it. It was for UnconventionalXStitch, and it was for 25% off all charts. And so, or I think it was 25% off anything in the store, but I just, because they're in Australia and there's all the tariffs and all, I'm not even going to mess with buying things overseas that have to be shipped to me. So I picked up, this first one won't surprise you, because when Jody released it on the website, I was just giddy with excitement. I loved it. First one is Dusa by Krista Bug. This one measures 236 by 300. So there's only one here that is I would consider large. The rest are pretty small. The next one is Glory of Dusk. These were all off my wish list. This is by J. Edward Neal. It's 240 by 300. This next one is by Adrian Borda. He's one of my favorite on her website. When I go through and look, I have a lot of his saved. This is Let's Never Stop Falling in Love. It's 285 by 400. And the last one is probably from my favorite artist on her website, which I shouldn't say, because I love Nickley, I love Adrian, I love a lot of them, but I keep being drawn to Megan's work. This is Megan Majewski, and this is the Caterpillar, and this is the largest of the ones I purchased. This is 385 by 450. So those were on my wish list. Those are ones I knew I'd buy someday anyway. That now takes my Dropbox folder of full coverage projects to 15 that I need to start. So I don't need to buy any more. So yeah, I think that's all I have for you today. I will try to be back in 2 weeks again. I think 2 weeks is pretty much a good time to show you progress. Other than that, we're finally moving into what feels like summer. It has been the craziest spring. I will let you go. I hope you have had a great couple of weeks. I hope your stitching is coming along. And if your children are getting out of school, or your grandchildren, I hope you get to enjoy lots of time with them. And I will see you in a couple weeks. Bye.